Hi. I wanted to talk about something that's very important to me. It might not, might be kind of like overstated, but I feel like I have to talk about it because I chose to start this little home for the collective. And I just want anybody who listens to me or will listen to me or whatever to know that whatever background you have, right? Whatever you come from, we spend too much time focusing on our physical self, our physical ancestry, our physical being, and we don't spend enough of our energy thinking about our soul's past. And it's something that, because I can only speak for myself, I'm not anyone else. I've never been anyone else in this lifetime that I can remember. But I know for a fact that I am very empathic. I can't be in places with a lot of people. It bothers me immediately. If I go like to a city or a crowded space, when I come home I have to shower, not just because I feel like somebody was breathing on me, but literal energy, like I have to cleanse myself. I feel it and it's like daunting. And I know that I've been in this world, on this planet, probably through many lifetimes, right? And most people, whatever you believe in, whatever your religion is, because your religion kind of guides what you believe in. I was never instilled with a religion. I was introduced to different religions and different beliefs, and I was told about my background and everything like that. And I accept it, but again, that is my physical self, right? That is what we spend a lot of time focusing on. A beautiful butterfly. That's good. It means I should be talking about this. But anyway, religion was never like thrown in my face as it is, which I completely am grateful for, because I don't believe that it's something. I think that it should be a choice, you know? I don't think that just because your great grandmother followed a specific religion or converted or whatever, that is what you have to abide by, because we go through different experiences that put us in a place and time where we do seek guidance from above, right? But we don't have to name it. I don't like organized religion myself because I feel like there's too many constraints and there's too much division, and that's what I want to talk about. So people spend so much time right now, especially, separating themselves from each other. Always because the people in power always want to divide and conquer, divide and unify, so that they can control different populations. They can herd the sheep, right? And most people, for some reason, are okay being the sheep. And that's how I know that I've lived many times, because I was always under the impression that I have my own train of thought. I was born this way. I never wanted to think like anyone else. I never believed any 2,000, 3,000-year-old story, 5,000-year-old story. I always knew that it's a game of broken telephone, you know? He said, she said. And it's beautiful, right? All those experiences, all the guidance is beautiful, but you have to take it with a grain of salt. You have to have a sense of knowing within you about what is right and what is wrong, right? And different religions, different backgrounds, always different political views, they always try to steer the masses into believing something, right? My thing that I always talk about is like the thing like Hitler, right? The problem is not with Hitler. The problem is with everybody who was brainwashed to believe that what he was saying was valid, that it should be followed, that those orders should be followed. Because sometimes there's people out there that you should just not listen to, you know what I mean? Like, you should just, I'm not gonna say it on YouTube, but like, you know what I mean. Anybody, especially in nowadays, anybody can say anything and somebody will hear it, right? But that doesn't mean that the masses have to follow. And that is why it's so important to not be a sheep that's being herded, you know. Be the black sheep. Be the first one to disagree. Be the first one to say, hey, that's not right. And there's people throughout history that have started revolutions. But my thing is that it's generally a male-dominated field, revolutions and wars and stuff like that, because it just happens to be that way. But I feel like as soon as there's a revolutionary, they become a tyrant in a way, right? Because they smell power. It's like being a shark. As soon as you smell blood, you want to eat. You weren't even hungry. You were swimming through the ocean. You smell blood, you want to eat. You know, you were a peaceful warrior. You were a revolutionary. You wanted to change things for the better. But as soon as you got some power on your hands, you started calling the shots. Immediately, you feel a sense of pride, a sense of a bigger ego, and then you start trying to control the situations, trying to manipulate yourself back into retaining this power, and that is how you become a tyrant. And so every time I open my mouth, it's super lengthy, like, I'm sorry. But regardless, what I want you to focus on is not your physical, but your soul. Just pretend that you've been here many times, you know. Everyone you hate right now, everyone you dislike, everyone you disagree with, every skin color you think is superior to another, every ethnic background you feel is superior to another, who are you to say that you were not that in your past life? Who are you to say that you're not going to be that in your next life? Everything I think that you hate, that you try to push away from yourself, you're going to have to experience it. You know what I mean? And there's so many wars and there's so much hate between people who should be brothers. Like, even on a level today, like, even in a physical realm, your DNA, the people that are fighting most of these wars, the DNA is almost identical. And they fight wars over beliefs, over land, over everything. And that's why I'm saying, like, think to your higher self, to your soul. Why? Why do you hate another when you could be right in their shoes? What fault is it that they are born in a specific place, of a specific caste, of a specific belief, of a specific race? Like, okay, in this life, you know, for instance, racism in America, okay? I come from a different country. I'm an immigrant. For me, I never saw racism as a little girl. I saw nationalism. I saw a people's desire to have their nation be populated by people of the same nationality, which I also believe is wrong. I think that it's beautiful to have diversity everywhere, because it builds a beautiful community. You share knowledge, you share skills, you share language, you share art and music, and it's beautiful. I think it's gorgeous. But I never grew up knowing that. And I never grew up knowing what racism was until I came here. It was never explained to me, right? And I came here and it was blatantly obvious. It didn't have to be explained, right? And I vehemently disagreed and fought through a lot of altercations, I would say, trying to defend people, trying to defend situations, and it's always been so foreign to me. The whole idea is very foreign to me, because I don't understand how, okay, so like today you were born this color, tomorrow, your next life, you're going to be born a different color, or you're going to be a dog. You know what I mean? Like, you really going to spend your whole life hating? I don't understand that concept. And whoever listens to this who disagrees, you know, I think that you should really sit down with yourself and think about it. If you take part in those beliefs, if you take part in believing that you're superior to another human, if you're superior to another race, another caste system, if you're somewhere abroad, if you're of a different financial situation, whatever God gives you, whatever God you believe in, whatever God gives you, he could take it away in a second. He could flip the switch in a millisecond, you know? And the dirty deeds that you do in this life, it's not always you who's going to have to be paying them forward. Most of the time, it's people that you care about that have to pay for your mistakes, that have to pay for the things that you've done. If you spend your life living with hate in your heart, with oppression in your heart, your children, your grandchildren are going to be paying for that. Regardless of what color you are, regardless of where you come from, regardless of anything else that you believe. When you start these wars, when you fight on your own soil, when you go to a different soil to fight, whatever you think you're fighting for, think about it first. Don't only think about what happened, think about what caused that to happen. Because everything is cause and effect. Honestly, it is. You know, when there's violence, when there's war, when there's disagreements and things like that, think about what happened to make people feel that way. Don't only look at the act, but look at the events leading up to it. And that is, I think, is the easiest way. Put yourself in the other's shoes. I think that's the easiest way to empathize. Because I understand in this world, not everyone is born an empath. Not everyone is able to feel others. Not everyone cares about anyone else's feelings. They just are in their own little shell. And I want this video to open you up to the idea that you have to put yourself in someone else's shoes, because there will be a time that you will be in their shoes. Maybe not in this life, but in the next. Maybe not you, but your children, your grandchildren. Whatever you put other people through, energy does not dissipate. Energy flows. Energy is fluid. Energy transcends time and place, and it will come back. And so sometimes we don't always do the right thing, but if our heart is in a place of love, and we do things out of love, sometimes we don't act right, but we're not doing something with hate. We're not doing something with division or oppression. We all make mistakes, you know, and that is allowed. That's okay. That's how we learn. That is our progress. But when we act through hate, when we act through oppressing others, when we start wars, when we start altercations through not protection of ourselves and of people who are being oppressed or taunted, but when we just start trying to dominate something, we'll have to pay for that. That's guaranteed. That's guaranteed. Because you don't know how energy will transfer. You don't know where it's going to go. You don't know what's going to occur. And there's so many things that you just don't see with your eye in your 3D world. There's so much going on in the universe that you have no knowledge of because you're so primitive. Not you, whoever I'm talking to, just as humans, we're very primitive. There's birds that sense so many more things that we do, yet we call them animals. You know, birds, or not animals, but birds. We would find ourselves superior to them, yet their intellect and their literal GPS system that they are guided by to fly home, to fly in all sorts of directions, to sense hurricanes, it's so much more vast than our understanding. Like, we have to have technology to help us do this. They do it with their little brain and their wings, you know what I mean? Insects completely, you know, take a butterfly, it cocoons itself and then it's reborn. Everything that we look at, it doesn't have to be the animal kingdom or the birds or the insects. Anything we look at that we find ourselves to be superior, as soon as you feel like you're superior to something, you're going down the wrong path. You have to see the beauty and the power in everyone and everything. And then you get to experience the world with a sense of gratitude. With a sense of gratitude towards other people's cultures, other people's backgrounds, their belief systems, things that you could learn from them, cooking, tradition, tasks, skills, language, art. When you start expressing gratitude instead of hate, the world can be such a beautiful place. There could be so much less blood shed on this planet of completely innocent people. There could be so many more thriving neighborhoods, so many more beautiful events happening in people's lives if you just wake up every morning with a sense of gratitude for every single human that exists, no matter where they're from, no matter what they look like, no matter how you think you compare to them, because you're not the one to compare. You're not God. Don't play God. And to God, whichever one you believe in, the higher power, the Most High, sees beauty in everything, otherwise he wouldn't create it. How could he hate anyone in particular if he created them all? It just would not make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. You have to be logical. So yeah, that's my message of the day. It's very important to me because this is what I live by. That's how I move through life, and I don't understand anyone who doesn't move through life that way. I don't. And I know that we all have different experiences. We all get oppressed. I come from a place where my family was oppressed, and I don't hold hate towards the people that would have done so. But I choose a better path than retaliation in the same sense. I choose to do things with love. That doesn't mean always be peaceful. Sometimes you gotta be a G. But you gotta be a G with love. Okay, bye!